The bill has passed, boys. The bill has passed.
Oh my gosh, Tim. Look at this bill.
It is just so big.
And you know what? We're laughing about this, but gosh, this bill is big.
It's huge.
So many things are coming down the pipeline. And of course, if you're just tuning in, Guardian Investment Advisors, glad you guys could join us on Plan Today on tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the big, beautiful bill today. What that could mean for your retirement, because a lot of things are going to be changed down the pipeline, guys, with Medicare, Social Security, lots of changes coming down the pipeline. The bill got signed for on July 4th, I do believe. Mr. President Trump signed for the bill. So we're going to chat about that today, but I'd like to have a little fun first.
There's a pretty awesome flyover of the White House, too, with
Oh,
some military
man.
jets when he signed it. It was a big
that
to-do.
was really cool. Now, did you guys, and speaking of Mr. Trump, did you see where he extended the deadlines on the tariffs again?
Yes.
Yeah,
August.
so
It started out with-
August 1st.
Yeah, it started out with like 2 countries yesterday, moved to 5. I think it's up to like 15 countries now that he extended tariffs back on.
He did, but here's the thing. He is sending letters out saying, you know what? You got till August 1st. You got to get this done. So I think a lot of different things are changing right there. And guys, we have to, send our thoughts and prayers for all the people that went through that devastation in Texas as well. It's made my stomach hurt so badly. Just watching all that going on with all those young girls at that camp.
Rough.
It's rough.
Yeah, it is terrible. So, our thoughts and prayers go out to them, and I hope they can still find some of them.
Yeah.
I think I just heard this morning, based on when the show's playing, that it's over 100 people now, and
Terrible.
so it's just really bad. And let's have a little fun here. Let's have a little fun. Who do you guys think the most current, highest-grossing lead actor is in Hollywood right now?
Oh, I saw this. It's actually an actress, isn't it?
It is an actress. It is.
Yeah. So, whose movies have grossed the most in Hollywood? I'll
Think
pitch
about
this to you.
It's got to
Tim.
be. It's got to be I'm going superhero.
Oh,
You're right.
Close. Yeah. So Jurassic World Rebirth over the holiday weekend. Gentlemen, listen to this. It came in $318.3 million over the weekend.
That's wild.
Oh.
That's
So
Scarlett
who's the lead
Johansson,
actress?
right?
Who's the lead actress?
Scarlett Johansson, right?
And she's not hard to look at.
No,
I mean, but that would put her at the top, the highest grossing actress in Hollywood. I thought that was pretty
Yeah, over like Tom
interesting.
Cruise and a bunch of actors.
That's
that we've
incredible,
been-
guys.
it's
That's incredible. Some other news about going on with Mr. Trump in our office. Did you guys see where Paramount is settling for $16 million to settle that lawsuit? Some things on 60 Minute interview, right?
That's
All
right.
that's all about. So $16 million. It started at 8.
And then some ad spend on top of that, if I read it correctly.
Yeah, I believe that. So there's a lot of things going on. Microsoft's laying off 9,000 more people.
Yeah,
I think they're over 15,000 for the year.
The new job numbers were kind of softer than we thought they were.
Right.
It's been kind
That's
of
kinda
crazy.
big news.
So lots of things going on in the headlines, gentlemen. But hey, let's jump in. We're talking about all this stuff going on with the big beautiful bill, and I mean, what is this, guys? Let's just do a quick overview, if you will, Bobby. I'll start with you. I mean, we're gonna dig deeper into this, but just some highlights that you've seen about this big beautiful bill, and some things you'd like to talk about
Yeah,
today.
there's a lot going on here, right, and a lot to unpack. I think I read that the bill was over 800 pages.
Yep.
Wow.
When it was printed out. I've started to read it. I'll have to admit I have not gotten through all 800 pages.
I'm kind of proud of you, by the way, that you have not done that.
And there's a lot of it that you have to go back and read again. But it's really a tax and spending bill.
Yep.
It's pretty wide ranging. And so when you say taxes, a lot of people think about income taxes, and that's a big part of it. But there's a lot of other things that go into this: individual income taxes, foreign income taxes, business taxes. and then how we're going to spend that money in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, what about you? Give me an overview from your standpoint.
So Trump's always been about economics, right?
Right.
It's his goal
Yeah.
is to drive economics, and in the his last term in office, one of the biggest things he did to kind of boost the economy was throw out that stimulus check, right? Now that had some backlash to it. We saw some high inflation, and the next office continued that stimulus package, which really just, I think, inflated that inflation problem that we had, if you will.
Double inflation.
Yeah, that's right. But I think this is a much better approach to driving a better economy. We're insinuating business owners to hire on people. We're bringing factories and things over through tariffs.
Right.
We're putting money back in the hands of the working Americans by giving tax deductions and better options for saving for retirement down the road.
I think,
right?
Tim, you and I talk about when we talk to our clients and prospects about money in the market. We especially this year, we've been talking about how the markets have been so volatile.
Right.
And we
Yeah, it
talk
has.
all the time
Yeah.
about it's just the uncertainty.
That's right.
The market doesn't know what's going to happen in the future, so it shows in volatility. And a lot of what this bill does is make some of those Tax Cuts and Jobs Act back in 2017, those things permanent.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be a really good thing for the economy because now these companies and the United States economy at large kind of knows what to expect moving forward.
100%. And everybody's talking about the working class throughout
Right,
this because
yeah.
a lot of it's designated towards the working class. But I'll say there's a lot in here for retirees.
Oh,
Yes.
especially when it comes to Social Security.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to dig a little bit into that. First thing I want to do, if you're listening to us today and you're like, wow, I'd like to get to know these guys a little bit better, I would invite you to go to our website, GIA Plan Today, GIA Plan Today. We've got several events coming up, gentlemen, between Chattanooga and Knoxville. Lots of great things going on. You might see an event that you'd like to come to. It might be about taxes or income planning or annuities. It might be about market volatility. It might be about Medicare. So go to GIA Plan Today, GIA Plan Today. I think that's a good resource for you guys. You can also go on there and watch our TV shows, listen to our radio shows in podcast form. So the website is great. Again, GIAPlantoday.com. Guys, I want to finish this first section on something that I think is so important about this big, beautiful bill. And that is we are looking to extend the tax cuts that Trump set in 2017, Tim. I think this is so big. And to be honest with you, gentlemen, all I could think about this morning, Cherison said, were you working out this morning? I did, is what an opportunity all of our clients and hopefully future clients have over the next 3 or 4 years to get themselves in a better position, Tim, by looking at some Roth conversions. I know we beat that up. We beat Roth conversions up, but I think we have a reason for beating it up right now. Now's the time to
Yeah.
take
take
advantage.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about being in the third lowest tax bracket in history, and that just became a quote-unquote permanent thing.
Right.
I say quote-unquote because it's permanent until it's not. That's what Bobby always says, right?
That's right.
I mean, they can
Like
always
that.
change tax rates, but
Yeah.
this is basically a permanent tax brackets now. So it allows us to kind of plan a little bit further out in the future to say, okay, we don't necessarily have to squeeze all these in the next 3 to 4 years. We can, we should. I would love to do that. But it allows us to kind of extend out that Roth conversion timeline and several other things along the way.
Oh, absolutely. Your point on that, Bob?
Yeah, that I think that's exactly right. So they made permanent the 37% high tax bracket.
Permanent.
But even more important to a lot of people is they kind of codified the inflation adjustments on the 10 and 12% brackets.
Big deal.
That's huge.
That's huge. So not only are those brackets quote unquote permanent, but they're going to be inflation adjusted, which means that income level is going to go up. So it may be easier for you to stay in those lower income tax brackets in the future.
I know we're going to hit on some of this later, but that's a big deal in this bill is they've included inflation on a lot of these numbers, which I think is awesome.
Well, they need to. We
Yeah,
talk about that all the
agreed.
time, don't we?
Agreed, yeah.
I mean, we talk about the numerical inflation is down right now because interest rates have been so high, but the cost of goods are still up. So to keep that in place and add inflation into your future taxes, I think that's probably my favorite thing about this tax bill, only because of what we do for a living. And I think now, Bobby, how do we get people excited about paying taxes? I know that sounds weird.
Pay
but
less.
Pay on the seeds, not the harvest.
That's exactly right. And I love
and I'm
that
beating the desk
analogy.
here because I want everybody to hear us.
That's right. And now, we were talking about the third lowest tax bracket ever.
Yep.
I haven't done the math, But we may be lower than that for a lot of income earners. The standard deductions going up. If you're retired, you get some extra bonus deductions for there. So right now is the time to pay taxes. I know we don't like writing the checks, but are you going to write the check now or are you going to write the check later? Because you're going to write the check.
Put yourself in a tax-free situation.
Yeah, and mathematically, Tim, you and I have had this discussion before, that mathematically it makes sense if you've got a $300,000 IRA, I'm just using that for an example, pay all the taxes in one blow and go from there. Mathematically it makes sense, but I personally, me, that makes my stomach hurt.
Sure.
Because if I'm going to pay 37% on that plus the Obamacare tax on top of that, I'm paying a lot of money, 28, 30 grand,
That's
right? So now we have an opportunity to spread this Roth conversion out 3, 4, 5 years, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, and so that's kind of been our conversation recently is, hey, we've got until the end of 2025 to do these Roth conversions at the tax rates that we're in. So we've been talking to folks about, hey, can we at least start these? Let's at least get some done if we can.
Right.
And be aggressive.
And be aggressive. And if the tax, if the bill goes through, then, hey, we'll talk about maybe extending that out and doing some more in the future. And now that's where we are today.
Tax planning, guys, I'm serious. Tax planning, I think it's a big pitfall that doesn't happen in many, brokers out there. A lot of financial advisors don't talk about tax planning. I know we focus on it. As a matter of fact, we even designed a calculator that you can do from the comfort of your home. PlanTodayTaxBill.com. PlanTodayTaxBill.com. Put your numbers in on what we think the future numbers might be. You might be a little surprised on how much of your money could disappear in the future if you don't start planning now. Yes, we talk about Roth conversions all the time, and it's because the three of us think it's so important. It's so vital to your retirement in the future, to your income lasting in the future. We want to make sure you do it correctly. Again, PlanTodayTaxBill.com. PlanTodayTaxBill.com. Absolutely free. Go fill it out today. When we come back on our second segment, I want to jump into the Social Security benefits, Bobby, because I think there's some big things going on with the new big, beautiful tax bill that we need to talk about. Hey, guys, we'll be right back. In the U.S., it takes an average of 12.5 months for families to legally resolve all financial matters after someone passes away. As a financial advisor, I realize how delicate it can be talking about end of life and financial matters. But that is why I'm here, to help make that hard conversation about taking care of your loved ones easier to have. What if your beneficiaries need some funds sooner than 12 months to cover medical expenses, funeral costs, or monthly bills? That's where Guardian Investment Advisors has you covered. There is a financial solution where we would place a portion of your assets you're already planning on leaving to your loved ones into a guaranteed issue life insurance policy. Within 48 hours, these funds can be provided to your family with confirmation from the funeral home. I'm Gary Thurman, CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. We are your neighbors right here in the Tennessee Valley. Call us today. Your peace of mind starts with a simple conversation. Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, CEO, Guardian Investment Advisors, had a first great segment there, really starting to dig into this big, beautiful bill that was just passed on July 4th. It was written into Congress, and everything is off and running. We really dug in to the extending tax cuts that were set in 2017 by Mr. Trump and what it's going to do for us moving down the road. And, I think that's probably the biggest, one of the most important things about this new bill is being able to take your time, do some Roth conversions, get some tax-free money in your retirement. Bobby, I'd like to jump back in because I know this is something you've been looking at. And Social Security, we talk about it all the time because we feel that it's a very, very important tool that you have. It's an important vehicle that you have for income. And we talk about how to optimize your Social Security benefit all the time. But with this big, beautiful bill, some things are changing.
That's right. And it's actually really good on a couple of fronts. One, that it works out that while the taxes on Social Security, the numbers haven't changed, what has happened with this bill is seniors over 65 get a $6,000 credit on their income tax return. So that's $12,000 per person. On top, or per couple rather,
right,
on top of the increased standard deduction. It turns out PricewaterhouseCoopers, I looked at it this morning, said 90%, up to 90% of Social Security takers won't have to pay taxes on that Social Security benefit now because of all those deductions.
So taxes on Social Security went away.
Well, it's based on
effective way.
income. It's
There-
based
there-
on what you're bringing in.
there
Isn't
are
it
phase-outs.
50,000 for an individual, 100,000 for a couple, Bobby?
That's right.
You have no taxes.
That's right. And so if you're in that situation where Social Security is your primary income in retirement,
You're not going to be paying those.
you're not going to be paying those taxes. They're still there, but you get to essentially opt out of them because of these really generous deductions that the Big Beautiful Bill Act has.
And so I'm asking for pure knowledge here, Bobby, because I don't know. Somebody's on Social Security and a pension. If that pension pushes them over the $50,000 mark, then there may be some taxes paid on Social Security benefits, correct?
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. But because of those deductions, it'll be much less than it was July
Yeah.
3rd.
Yeah,
And so that's a great thing. And another thing that was introduced, this really won't affect people that are retired and taking Social Security now, but they really tried to work on the pending insolvency problem with the Social Security Trust. You've been talking about this for decades,
Yeah,
right?
they have, yeah.
You know, Social Security is going to run out of money. Social Security is going to run out of money. And it's true, right? The Social Security, we need some changes to how Social Security is funded in order to make sure this thing goes, past, they're looking at another 10 years now, I think, just about. So what they actually did was, there used to be a phase out. This year it's $176,000. If you made above that, you quit paying Social Security tax, or
Right.
FICA tax is
Right.
what they call it,
that payroll tax.
the payroll
Yeah,
tax.
yeah, exactly.
And so what they said was, well, one of the ways that we can put more money in the system is increase that limit. So they did it kind of in a funky way, I think.
A donut hole kind of way.
Yeah, it's a donut hole. You know, we talk about with Coach Medicare, Tanner Moore, we talk about the donut hole with Medicare. Well, now there's a donut hole in FICA and Social Security taxes. So up to $176,000 this year, you'll pay FICA tax.
Okay.
But from $176,000 to $250,000, you won't. The change is if you make over $250,000, you'll start paying into the Social Security system
That's
again.
interesting because that's going to cause some. It should cause some more planning with your CPA, especially if you're self-employed, right? Because you might be paying yourself a K1 over $250 from now on.
So it sounds like to me high earners are probably going to pay more taxes.
Certainly more FICA taxes.
Is that fair? I mean, I
That's
don't
a
know.
tough question.
Yeah,
It is a
what's
tough
fair?
question. It is, but look, guy, I'm thinking about my mom right now. My mother lives on her Social Security benefits. My mother just got a raise.
Yeah, I don't hate it because Social Security
hate it
was
either.
not designed to be your only retirement savings. Well, it was designed to replace the income with a pension. We don't have that anymore.
That's
so
right.
if you're retiring just on Social Security, you're kind of in a tight spot.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if we can make sure that those people that are in a tight spot, the most vulnerable here in our nation, have a little more safety with their Social Security benefits, I'm all for it.
Sure.
And how big of a change is this, gentlemen? Because the old rules where if you're an individual making more than $34,000 a year or a married couple making $44,000 a year, your Social Security could be taxed up to 85%. That's a huge change, Bobby.
It is, and again, all these exemptions that went up, the standard deduction and the $6,000 per retired person over 65, that's going to make a huge benefit to people.
It sounds like those new deductions are almost better than getting rid of the Social Security tax.
You know,
in plain
I
sight,
agree.
Yeah, I
right?
like that idea,
because
Tim.
because now you're up to $100,000. Essentially, the math works out to where if you make up to $100,000, that's Social Security of, let's just say you got $50,000 a year coming in between two people, and then their pension, and maybe they're pulling from their IRA. Their income's probably still under $100,000, and they're probably not paying much on taxes, if anything at all.
That's incredible. So listen, if you're out there, you're on Social Security, and you're like, whoa, what was Bobby just talking about? Because that's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things going on. I encourage you guys to go to our website, GIA Plan Today, GIA Plan Today. Go check it out. Listen to our radio shows. Listen to our podcast shows. Reach out to us. You can send us a message right there on the website. Come in and see us. Have a conversation with Bobby and Tim about Social Security benefits and how it's affected by the big, beautiful bill. And they'll be here for you, guys. They'll be here for you, absolutely free. Tim, let's jump into something that's a little, I don't know, near and dear to me because I was a server / bartender for many years.
I have a picture of you in the kitchen.
I know
think
you
were
do.
like
Get rid of
20
that.
something.
You need to get rid of that picture, by the way. That picture needs to go in the garbage. It actually needs to go in the shredder.
Tristan,
Go in
can
the
I give
shredder.
you that to put on the website?
No.
It's gonna be Gary's new headshot.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. But spotlights on tips and income reporting. So if you're out there and you're someone and you're, a tip worker, you need to listen up because some things are changing when it comes to tips and how they're taxed.
Massive changes to tip workers and overtime workers at the same time, right?
Love it.
If Trump promised in his campaign to get rid of taxes on tips, and he has. If you are making up to $25,000 in tips, they are tax-free. Overtime workers are $12,500 per person, or $25,000 per household in tax-free overtime.
That's awesome.
Right? So if you're making tips or overtime, you may have some more tax-free money in your pocket this year. That is a massive change. Now, I will say that reduces and phases out if you make over $150,000 a year. So if you're making tips and you're a high-income earner, you may see a little bit less tax-free money or none at all at that point.
But how good is this going to help? Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you, gentlemen. A few of our favorite restaurants around here, I mean, there are folks our age that are making a living on being servers, and they're doing good. I mean, they're making a good living. That's a rough job. I mean, many hours, weekends, all that other stuff. But
They've earned every dollar for sure.
it's going to change their lives, Bobby, especially the younger people out there. I just think it's a big impact.
I will say this. Take advantage of it now because this is only temporary. This phases out and goes away December of 2028.
Oh, I didn't know that. So we got a few years here.
That's right.
So start doing some Roth conversions and take advantage of the taxes on tips, right?
The coolest thing about this, though, is it's retroactive back to January 1 of 2025. So if you're making tips right now, it's tax-free.
Yeah, all year.
Congrats.
All year.
So what do you think, Bobby? I mean, what is your gut impact on that? How's that going to make people feel? They're going to be happy about that?
Yeah,
They're gonna be,
I think that's great because listen, we know there's a lot of people out there that make a good living, with tips and waiting and bartending. But those are also the folks that are just kind of getting by a lot of times.
That's right.
And that tax bill, even if you're it's being withheld from your paycheck, that's a meaningful amount to a lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
And you won't see that anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's great.
So we've talked about two things really, well, kind of three, but a couple things that are really impacting with this big beautiful bill. We talked about the tax cut being extended. I think that's a huge opportunity. We talk about the new benefits for Social Security. I think that's also a plus. And now we just talked about tips, right? Not being taxed to certain limits. Overtime work, not being taxed to certain limits. And also, guys, did you know that the bill sets a $10,000 deduction for auto loan interest on new U.S.-made cars? Did you guys read that?
I
No, that's
did.
great.
U.S. assembled vehicles, I think, is a technical wording.
Very
So
technical.
It doesn't
because
necessarily have to be a Ford or a Chevy.
My
No.
Toyota was made in Texas.
That's
Exactly
right.
right.
So that's what I want to make sure that people understand that because if you drive around Chattanooga, I mean, you see a lot of Toyotas, you see a lot of Hondas, great cars. Those factories are right here in the United States now. BMW, Birmingham, Alabama. So I think maybe don't order your BMW from overseas, Germany, Bobby.
Right, well,
When you go buy that new BMW, don't get it in Germany.
I'll try to abstain.
I just think you got to look at the fine print because a $10,000 deduction. Wow, I mean, I think that's really cool because there are some changes about the electric car deductions and stuff coming with this bill as well. When we jump back in, guys, and get to that next segment, I really, 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 and I know we talk about this all the time, I just think we're in a golden window right now. We're in a golden window for people to take advantage of this new bill that just got passed July 4th. Tim, thanks for letting us know that some of these are going back to January 1 of this year. I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Lots of great things are going on with this bill. We're going to continue to talk about it. But, gentlemen, when we come back, why now is time to convert? I know we talk about this and we talk about it, but I'm going to continue to talk about it probably for the next 3 or 4 years because right now is a golden opportunity. You need to check it out. Again, if you want to check out our events that are coming up, we got several coming up in July and August between Chattanooga and Knoxville, Tennessee. Go to GIAPlantoday.com, GIAPlantoday.com. And if you're curious about future taxes, we absolutely love our new calculator, PlanTodayTaxBill.com, PlanTodayTaxBill.com. It's absolutely free. Go in and plug in your numbers. Then when you get your report back, that's when you go to the website, you reach out, you call us, come in and see us. We'll have a conversation. It's 100% free, and we will show you how to take advantage of the big, beautiful bill in retirement. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the golden window, and I know it'll take up our whole segment. Stay tuned on why Roth conversions are perfect to do or consider right now. Stay tuned.
You might not be able to retire if you haven't thought about future inflation and future taxes. When you're going through your retirement plan, are you thinking about inflation? Does your current plan have inflation built into it? The national average is about 3%. Of course, it's been really, really high the last few years, but it has come back down. But you've got to build inflation into your retirement plan because we don't want to run out of money. Another thing I stress to my clients all the time is we got to think about future taxes. Our government has one source of income, and that is taxes. And I promise you, with $34 trillion in debt, $2 more trillion being added this year in 2024, the interest only on our national debt is $1 trillion. Folks, taxes are going to go up. You've got a window of opportunity in 2024 and 2025 while taxes are still on sale. Let's start looking at maybe taking some of your taxable money to tax-free money. This is all part of the Wealth Guard planning process. We'll do this for you when we're creating an income plan. You got to think about inflation and you got to think about taxes. Give us a call today and come in and see myself and my team, and let's put this plan together for you.
Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Guardian Investment Advisors. Hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. We're talking about this big, beautiful bill that just got passed on July 4th. Lots of changes coming down the pipeline. Just to give you guys a really quick recap, we talked about the tax cuts being, extended out, and we're going to really dig into that this section right here. We talked about the benefits on Social Security and how those have changed. We talked about if you're out there and you're a server and you're earning tips. Talked about how the taxes are changing there, and we also talked about overtime. I know a lot of people are getting overtime right now, and how a certain limit, up to a certain limit amount of money, so to speak, is not going to be taxed for you. So we're talking about a lot of good things coming down from the big, beautiful bill that just got passed again on July 4th. And there's some corporate winners and losers. We're going to jump into that in a few minutes, Bobby. But gentlemen, and Tim, I'm going to start with you. I hit the desk earlier because I think the tax cuts being extended is just such a window of opportunity that people need to take advantage of. And I'm going to say this. I don't care if you're someone out there with a old 401k of $25,000, an old 401k of $5 million. I think you need to really start considering what Roth conversions can do for you in the future. And I know we have some tools to show and help people with this, but why do I say this is so important right now? Because you and I know, or what we think the taxes might go up to in the future. So let's just chat about it.
Yeah, so if we just talked about how if you're a single filer making less than 50 or a joint filer making less than 100,000, the math works out to where essentially you are not paying any taxes on your income, right? And that's if you're over the age of 65.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you fall into that category and you're bringing in less than $100,000 in income, you essentially have a free gap to potentially do some Roth conversions that really won't cost you anything in taxes.
Yeah, or even if you wanted to get aggressive and go over that limit again,
right,
you're going to be in one of the lowest income tax brackets.
That's right. Just paying very little in taxes at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Now, we got to be careful of IRMA charges through Medicare and things like that, but there's some math there that might allow you to do some Roth conversions tax-free. So you can take taxable money, put it into a tax-free growth standpoint, and pull it out tax-free later on, and it doesn't cost you much right now. That's a pretty awesome opportunity.
I was on a podcast yesterday with my good friend Josh Porter at Optimize You, and we were talking about what is important when you're having conversations with people, and I really went, but guys, it's really based on their age, because our younger people right now, we are pushing them and encouraging them to get a Roth IRA. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Now, they need to maximize their 401k, get the matching benefits on the 401k and things like that. But it's kind of shifted now with the taxes being where they're at. If you're someone, and really, guys, I look at this, anyone with an old IRA, an old 401k out there, right now is the time to convert that over to an IRA, take control of that money, maybe start doing some Roth conversions. But another thing, Bobby, that's big to me, someone 59 and a half to 60 years old, and I'm just going to throw numbers out. They got $1 million in a 401k. Mm-hmm. There's a rule out there called the 59 and a half rule. And let's say we take half of that 401k at $500,000, we put it in an IRA, and we start doing Roth conversions over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
those folks are going to come out winners in the long run.
Yeah, while they're still working.
While they're
right?
still working,
you can
so
still
they can
be-
pay the tax.
You can be at your employer, and when you turn 59 and a half, and some plans allow you to do this at 55. It's generally the exception, but we should look at that. But 59 and a half, you can take what's called an in-service withdrawal out of that 401k account, take control of it, like Gary said, put it in an IRA. One, you got a lot more investment options. You have you have more options to be defensive. That's usually the issue we see in 401k plans is there's plenty of go-go juice in those plans.
Yeah.
Because when you're saving and you're younger, you want that. But if you want to be conservative, if you want to dial back the risk before you get ready for retirement, not a lot of good options there.
Yeah.
It's either cash or a bond fund. And excuse my language, but bond funds are kind of garbage right now. Right? So you're actually going to get safe, and you could lose money.
Yep.
And so by rolling that out, not all of it, we still want to leave, some money in your 401k to keep it active, and you keep doing it. None of that's going to change, but take control of it, put it in an IRA, invest it better, in my opinion, and allow yourself to have the opportunity to do Roth conversions.
That rule was designed because they know people need to start planning for retirement. They know they need to find some conservative income plan driven options, and they know that those aren't, terribly available in 401ks. Now,
Right.
a couple years ago, they just passed it to where annuities are allowed to be in 401ks.
Some of them.
But we're not seeing it.
You're
now
not seeing
yet,
it
We're
implemented.
not
That's
seeing
right.
it. But so let's go back to that same scenario, Bobby. I come to you. I'm 60 years old. I got $1 million in 401k. I want to take some risk out of the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that in-service rollover to an IRA of $500,000. But I want to start converting that over to a tax-free income. How are we going to do it?
Yeah, it's a Roth conversion question there. And what we would want to do is sit down and kind of figure out what your tax situation is. What does your income look like? What is it going to look like in the next couple of years? Are there any big changes? Now with the Big Beautiful Bill Act, you get a lot more deductions. So we'll need to take into account the deductions, not that you've had, but what you're going to have in the future, and see how much of that we can get to fill that marginal income tax bracket that you're in, and then have a conversation about sometimes it makes sense to move up to the next one.
Yeah.
If you're going from 10 to 12, okay, 2% more
Yeah.
taxes
Yeah, that's
now
fine.
to save the growth, the taxable growth and income in the future. It's a no-brainer.
100%.
But it looks different for everybody.
It does, but can we put it now? You just brought up annuities inside of 401ks, Tim. Can we do a Roth conversion with an annuity and get some of those cash bonuses to help us pay those taxes?
Yeah, of course.
That's incredible.
So there's some new programs out there now that are paying large cash bonuses up front. Now, typically, I'm going to say you want to be somewhat cautious going into something with a large bonus because there's something to be paid back on the other side
That's right.
of things.
Yep.
But if we're doing immediate withdrawals to do Roth conversions, that's a really good way to take advantage of that big bonus right out of the gate. Let them pay some of those taxes for you, if not all of them, and then put it into a tax-free situation outside of that annuity plan.
And then based on which annuity we do, Bobby, maybe we just reach in and take withdrawals when needed, or maybe we have an income rider attached to it. I mean, we can do that as well.
Yeah, you certainly could. There's no reason to pigeonhole yourself into one strategy. Almost all the programs now allow 10% free withdrawals.
That's right.
So you can take 10% of that value out of the IRA that you put into this program with the bonus and get it out in the market in that Roth IRA.
Yeah.
We're big fans of, if you've got Roth money, it should probably be in the market. Because you get better returns over time generally in the market, and you don't want to be as safe with that Roth money as you do IRA money
Well,
or
the benefit there is
non-qualified.
growth, right? The more
That's right.
growth we
More
get,
growth.
the more tax-free benefits
That's
we
right.
get out
Exactly
of it. So.
And Tim, how's that going to impact RMDs? I think that's something people just simply don't talk about or think about. I'm retiring at 65. I don't need to worry about RMDs till I'm 73. I get that. But that gives you 8 years to plan, and maybe by the time you get to 73, you don't even have an RMD anymore.
Yeah, so RMDs, Gary's referring to required minimum distributions. You made a deal with Uncle Sam when you started that 401k or that IRA that, hey, well, pay me now or pay me later. And you said, I'm going to pay you later, right? And so at some point, Uncle Sam says, I'm going to force you to pull money out of those qualified retirement plans so that you have to pay me my taxes. And that starts at age 73 right now. It's getting extended out to 74 and 75 over the next 5 years. But that will force you to do that. RMDs are not required on Roth IRAs.
That's right.
Now it's has been put on the chopping block, but we haven't seen that pass.
Yeah.
It's possible it goes down the road, but even if it did on a Roth IRA, there's no taxable, withdrawal from the Roth IRA. So it still puts you in a benefit place where, hey, we're pulling tax-free money. We're not forcing ourselves into a new tax bracket.
Yeah, I don't want to get people scared about the RMDs on Roth.
Sure.
That has been put out there. That's not going to be a tax issue. What the IRS is really trying to get them to do is not have as much tax-free growth in those accounts because you have to take it out of that.
Well, then you reinvest it into a non-qualified account, which
And
then
then pay
gains are
taxes.
taxable.
Right.
So
Yeah. So you guys, and I just want to finish this. We got about a minute and a half left. We've talked about, and I do think this is important too. We just talked about annuities a lot, right? But Tim, I still feel that when we look at Roth IRAs, we like that money to be in the market more. We need that max growth to pull out that. And some people might not need this for an income, gentlemen. It might just be a legacy benefit. How awesome is that for your wife or your husband or your children or grandchildren?
that's when that math really shines.
Wow.
Right? Because if you're not taking it, it just allows it to grow further, faster in a tax-free situation. And not only that, but when your kids inherit it, they don't have to take all that money and take it out of that plan right away. They can continue a tax-free growth status for the next 10 years after your passing.
And Bobby, how amazing is that? Because one of the laws that changed in 17 was stretch IRAs got eliminated.
Yeah.
And so now if I pass away and all my money goes to Rhonda, she's fine.
That's
she's
right.
going to inherit that IRA.
Your spouse is fine.
But if me and Rhonda both pass away and Nick and Grayson collect our IRA money, they've got to take it out over 10 years.
And pay the taxes.
And
on
pay
it.
the taxes on top of their taxes they're already paying.
That's right. So if you left that $1 million IRA to your sons, now all of a sudden they're saying, well, thanks, Dad, I appreciate that. But they're going to pay a boatload
Uncle
of taxes.
Sam's saying, thanks, I appreciate that.
That's right.
Yeah.
If it's a Roth, you don't run into that issue.
Folks, listen, you got a golden opportunity right now. You got a window of time where you can plant your seeds now, do some Roth conversions, because this tax sale won't last forever. Our national debt is at $37+ trillion, and that's not really the real number. And our interest on our debt alone is over $1 trillion. You got to start planning now for that tax-free income in the future. And guess what? It's a conversation. That's all we're going to do. We're going to run you through our software, show you the winners, show you the losers, show you how it will work, and then you can make a decision on what you want to do. From the comfort of your home, though, it's easy to go to plantodaytaxbill.com. Plantodaytaxbill.com. Put your numbers in against what we think the future numbers are going to be. Then go to our website, GIA Plan Today, and find out how to get in here and get with us. Folks, we want to have a conversation with you. We want to show you how this works. We want to show you about the big bill, the big, beautiful bill, and the pros and the cons and how it's going to affect your retirement. So I encourage you, plantodaytaxbill.com. Love for you to go there. Takes you 15, 20 minutes max to fill it out. And I think it would make a difference in your retirement for a lifetime. When we come back, we're going to keep talking about the big, beautiful bill, how it's impacting some business owners out there. Then we'll close up with some other comments. We'll be right back. Too many people enter retirement without a plan or a tax strategy, and it costs them. Every dollar you save from taxes is a dollar that can be put to work to help secure your retirement. At Guardian Investment Advisors, we have the experience and the expertise to create a customized financial strategy that includes smart tax planning. It's not about quick fixes or magic formulas. It's about building a comprehensive, tax-efficient plan. We're offering a no-cost portfolio and tax strategy review to get you started. Schedule an appointment with us today. You'll be glad you did. Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, CEO, Guardian Investment Advisors. What a great show we're having today because we're really focused on this big, beautiful bill that just got passed. You know, what are the winning situations? What are the losing situations? How's it going to impact you with the tax jobs being extended, with Medicare changing, with Social Security changing, with if you're someone out there and you're a server and you're earning tips, how did that just get changed? What if you're someone that's getting overtime? How did that just change? We talked about a lot of things, and we just had that our third segment there talking about a golden opportunity. It's a golden window of time where taxes are on sale, period. The tax job cut got extended. Taxes are on sale. Now's the time to start thinking about converting some of that money to Roth IRAs. Tim and Bobby are both experts in that. They can help you in any way and show you. And again, we got events coming up all through July and August. I'd encourage you to go to GIA Plan Today, GIAPlantoday.com. Go to our events tab, check out the events that are coming up. Let us know if you'd like to come to one. And also, you can check out our TV shows and our radio shows in podcast form right there from the website. And, gentlemen, I do believe our tax calculator and our retirement readiness quiz are on the website as well.
That's right,
So
that's
they can
right.
go right there and check that out. GIAplantoday.com, GIAplantoday.com. So, Bobby, some things that come down the pipeline with the big, beautiful bill for business owners. As a matter of fact, I got a Wall Street Journal article from July 5th talking about the corporate winners and losers with the new tax law. There's a lot of moving parts to this when it comes to business owners, but I know you did some research, and you want to talk about that for a few minutes.
Yeah, I was sitting here looking at my notes here, and there's not a really good way to just kind of work these into what we've been talking about. So, excuse me while I squirrel for a second here. I'm just
Go
going to
ahead.
kind of jump
Fire
around.
away,
Isn't
brother.
that kind of the definition of this bill? It's a squirrel bill.
Yeah,
right?
there's a handful of things that are really important for small business owners. Now that rule, that word "small" is kind of relative. So there's something for small business owners called the qualified small business stock options, right? And so that was a good thing that was put in place that allowed these small businesses. They raised that from $50 million to $75 million. So it's not Tim and Bobby's hot dog stand we're talking about. These are
Do y'all have a hot dog stand?
we got a side hustle.
I'm a
here.
little
On
pissed if y'all have a hot dog stand. I didn't know about it.
And so what that did is it allowed a 5-year holding period that says that if you hold these small business shares for that long, you can actually put off some of the capital gains or do away with some of them within 5 years. So that could be a big deal for some of these small to medium-sized business owners out there. And we get to work. We had the opportunity to work with all kinds of people, and so this is going to be a big one we're talking about. Also, the estate and gift tax exemption was made permanent. Right, that was going to
Oh.
expire
Yep.
at the end of this year. That was a 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act deal, but that's permanent. So $13.99 million is now what your net worth has to be before you pay gift or estate tax
That's per person.
per person, right?
So
and
like
portable.
27 million a couple?
It's
something
almost
like that?
28.
Yeah, almost
28,
$28 million. So we talk a lot about people that come in and say, I don't want to pay estate tax. It's not as big of an issue as it used to be. When I got started in this business, not that long ago, it was $500,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you had a 401k and a house, you might
there.
be paying estate tax. That's a huge number now, almost $29 million. So that's a good thing for small business owners because some of these businesses are worth quite a bit. Another one I wanted to point out was the SALT deduction, the state and local taxes.
Okay.
So before July 4th, if you had over $10,000 that you paid into state income tax, we don't have it in Tennessee, but our friends in Georgia do.
Yep.
Property taxes are a big one. If you own a big piece of real estate or multiple pieces of real estate and you're paying property taxes, you could only deduct up to $10,000 of that on your income tax return. That's been raised to $40,000.
It's a big jump.
That's huge.
It's a big jump. So especially if you own a lot of real estate, that's a big deal. And then also for our business owners, bonus depreciation has been increased to
Read that.
100%, right? So if you buy new equipment for your business, you can deduct it all in the first year, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's really
That's
nice.
huge.
It is, especially for entrepreneurs out there starting things, a new business starting up.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I go back to the first one you talked about? Well, you're talking about the small to medium business owners on the stock option there. You talked about delaying the capital gains tax for up to 5 years. So does that mean in 5 years that you owe the capital gain tax? I'm just a little confused.
Yeah, so the 5-year holding period requirement is what it was called. If you have a qualified small business stock, it's a tiered system. So it used to be you had to hold it for 5 years, and then you wouldn't pay capital gains on the sale of those shares. Now it's tiered. I'm going to look at my note here. 3 years, it'd be 50%.
Okay.
From 3 to 4, it's 75%. And if you hold it over 5, it's 100%. And
Sweet.
so not only is this good for small business owners, it's really good for estate planning,
Yeah,
too.
no kidding.
And so if you want to be able to pass those shares of the small business on.
Right.
And the cool thing about structuring a business like that is that your family can own shares of the business and not be running it, right? They can get the monetary benefit from those shares, and you don't have to give them control of it.
And you're going to end up seeing a lot of probably stock sale of businesses now.
So do you
That's
have to
right.
have a shareholder? I mean, do you have to have a board of directors with a bunch of shareholders involved in this, or can you just have one shareholder, the business owner himself, or how does that work?
You could do both.
Okay.
But so these are usually larger companies, again up
Right.
to 75 million. And so what a lot of people do in the estate planning side of this is start gifting some of those shares to family while they're still living. That doesn't mean you have to give up control of your business.
That's right.
That just means you're giving some of the value and some of the economic benefit to either your wife, your kids,
Right.
your grandkids, or a trust.
I love that.
And so that's a huge benefit that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. Now, it's kind of nuanced, right? It doesn't affect a lot of people, but if it does affect you, it is a huge opportunity.
But there's a lot of business owners here, Tim, in Chattanooga and Knoxville, Tennessee. I mean, we're the hub for entrepreneurs.
That's
we
right.
really are, which I love that. And that's a question that came up. You know, Josh Porter asked me a question yesterday. You know, Gary, what do you do for business owners? What do you do for self-employed people that are trying to save taxes or trying to, you know, cut taxes or whatever the case may be, Tim? So let's talk about that for a few minutes. We have a business owner listens to the show, comes in and sees us. Maybe he takes our tax calculator. Maybe he takes our GIAquiz.com, comes in and goes, guys, here's my business. I don't have a 401k in place. I've got 2 employees, or it's just me. I'm self-employed. What are we doing for that business owner?
Who knows, right? I mean, there's a million things you can do when you're self-employed, especially as a business owner, right?
Your toolbox gets infinitely larger.
It's huge, right? And so
What's
it
the most common thing?
depends on the situation that you're in. A lot of times we're looking at doing SEP IRAs,
Yeah.
right? Because it allows us to stuff a ton of money away in a tax-deferred manner. I'll tell you one thing that's really cool right now, and Bobby and I were talking about this. We haven't mentioned the Trump accounts yet.
Yeah, we haven't. We overlooked
So
that.
these are new savings accounts for your children, specifically children that are no older than 8 years old right now. But there's a nice benefit for children being born. I believe it's this year and forward.
That's right.
I'm not sure of 100% all the details on this yet, but the U.S. government will take $1,000 and dump it into this account for your children for, I believe, the next four years. And then you are allowed to add up to $5,000 a year tax deferred to these accounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a cool benefit for you because you can gift that money to your children and get the tax deduction for it right now.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of used like an IRA, except the taxable benefit on the withdrawal side of things is potentially a capital gain tax. Now, why is this awesome? Because if your kid's 18 years old and going to school, chances are they have little to no income.
Right.
And capital gains taxes only start at $80,000 and more.
Right.
So if we're pulling out less than $80,000, they're not making any money. It's
They're
all
not paying any
tax free
taxes.
to them.
You know
right?
what my first thought on this was, Tim? We talked about this. This may be a really good competitor to a 529 plan.
Agreed.
Oh, 100%.
And it has much more flexibility, right?
Right.
We
And
can
let
use
me-
it for homes. We can use it for college.
Is there
It's
guaranteed interest
all
rates built
liquid
into
later on.
that plan?
No, it's going to be based on a stock market index.
Oh, it is. That you pick.
I think there's a few options
Okay.
available there, but there's not a bunch there.
Think
The
of the
goal is-
investment options as like a 401k.
Yeah.
Right. They've got to be tied to an index, so you can't go super risky in this. It's kind of like a 401k account for your
kids,
kid.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
pretty
love it.
neat.
I just wish they'd go back to 2024 when my grandson was born.
That's right. You and me both, buddy. So here's the biggest kicker to it. Employers can contribute an additional $2,500 a year to it. So if you're self-employed, you've got kids that you put on payroll.
Right.
You can give them $5,000 personally, potentially another $2,500 as an employer, get the tax deduction for all of it, and your kids may very likely pull all that money out tax-free.
That could be really, really neat.
This could be strong.
And I know we don't have a lot of time here. I want to throw up a tax code. You guys ready?
Let's go.
412E3. If you're out there listening right now, I got to throw this into the mix. If you are a one-man, one-woman show and you've got just you, or you got 1 or 2 employees, that's really all this is good for.
Sure.
But the tax code is called 412E3. Tim, you know, me and your father did a lot of these back in the day. We can actually put money into a fixed annuity and a whole life insurance policy and get 100% tax deduction. And Bobby, here's what's amazing. It's based on your last 3 years worth of income. I've got a gentleman right now. Guys, we've put in over $250,000 a year into this plan for him.
Tax deferred.
Tax deferred.
Yeah, it's like a deferred benefit plan on steroids.
It's insane. And here's the thing. It's the only way you can get life insurance tax qualified. In other words, you have a life insurance that will pay tax-free if you pass, but you get the tax deduction now.
It's awesome.
So again, that's for a very rare person. It's got to be a high earner. You or maybe 1 or 2 employees. That's it. But again, that's what we do here at Guardian Investment Advisors. I would encourage you guys, again, go to our website, GIAplantoday.com. Check out our events. Check out our TV shows. Check out all of our radio shows. Check us out in general. On that website, there's 2 tabs at the top, GIA Quiz and our tax bill, GIAquiz.com, and then plantodaytaxbill.com. Again, they're all right there on the website. Go take them both. It only takes you a few minutes. GIAplantoday.com, GIAplantoday.com. Gentlemen, great show.
Enjoyed
The
it.
big, beautiful bill.
The mega bill.
The mega bill.
It is so big.
It is so big. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us on Plan Today on Tomorrow. We're going to catch you up next week. Take care. God bless.